Alright, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, record. Check, 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 check. Check-a-loodion. Hello again, everyone. Welcome back. Alright, a little closer. Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Best Darn Diddly Review Show. Cool. Oh, fuck. I don't have the script up. It's like I know I'm missing something.
Okay, good. I have a second to click things then. I try not to make too much noise, but I know my clicking is very loud. I hear it on the D&D thing. Every time I click, I hear it echo on anyone else's.
Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. This is episode 193.
I see that.
Did you turn your fan back on?
Nope. The AC clicked on.
Okay, that's cool. No worries. It's fine.
There's feedback.
I can just hear it a little bit. It just started in the background, but it's totally cool, dude. Like, I can remove that easily. That's nothing compared to what I've been dealing with. This is 193, and we've already done 195, so really, we're only... And also, we're going to keep on the Wednesday, Sunday for right now, so we are going to get to that 200th episode, like, hella fast. We need to figure out if or what... or first we need to figure out if we want to do something different, and then second we need to figure out what we want to do if that is the case.
We rank the first 200 episodes of the show.
Eat a dick, Richie.
I don't even want to do that one.
That'd be awful. Okay, I got my notes on my phone up from the commentary, and I got my notes from the computer up now. Let's do this. I also did not spell commentary correctly on the notes. That's fine.
Commentary?
Commentary. It's the rage.
It's the newest spice.
Word. Alright, here we go. Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Best Darn Diddly Review Show. This is a weekly podcast for anyone who loves The Simpsons, or ever has loved The Simpsons, hosted by two dudes that grew up on The Simpsons. My name is Miles, better known as Mr. Most Days Off, and today we are in trouble with trillions. We're talking about the episode Trouble with Trillions. We're off to a great start. Obviously, I'm going to need some help on this one, so joining me, as always, your co-host with the most, Richie the Whiz Kid. How you doing today, Rich?
I am doing great, Miles. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. You've never done one quite like that before. We'll never hear another one like it ever again. I'm going to just start off by saying, before I throw it back to you, that I don't see any notation anywhere of this being a play on the Star Trek episode Trouble with Tribbles. And I'm wondering why I don't see any notes about that online. So I'm going to throw that out there for everyone to contemplate and think about while we talk about this episode. And I'll go ahead and throw it back to you, the man, the myth, the tool of government oppression. It is Miles.
Accurate. With this podcast each week, mind control. Tribbles? Is that what you said? The Trouble with Tribbles?
Yeah.
I have not heard of that.
Yeah, it's those little furry things from the original Star Trek series that you see memes of. They multiply incessantly.
Are you sure you don't mean gremlins?
that too.
No, I'm not that familiar with Star Trek, as you know. So I am not familiar with Trouble with Tribbles. Does that anything to do, like, is the episode of Futurama where they have, like, the little food creatures that they are actually eating, like poplars. Is that a parody of that as well, or are those completely unrelated?
I've actually never seen that Star Trek episode. I'm just familiar with the lore behind it slightly, so...
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that is the type of 2-bit educational information you're going to receive on the Best Darn Diddly Review show.
They multiply. That's all you need to know.
It might have something to do with Star Trek, which might have something to do with the problem with poplars. Poplars? Whatever. Talking's hard. Let's jump into this episode, Rich. We're talking about The Trouble with Trillions today, which originally aired on April 5th, 1998. And right off the bat, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I think it's like the second week in a row, possibly, or if not, they've been really close together. We've been recording out of order, but this was not the episode that I thought it was, Rich. I thought this was the one where, like, Homer was essentially getting paid ridiculous amounts of money to do, like, increasingly stupid dares.
Oh, no. That's a few seasons down the road, I believe, sir.
Well, clearly, because it hasn't happened yet. So.
Yeah. Well, I said a few. Some people might think it's, like, next season, but I think that's, like, 12 to 17. I don't know.
Really? That late? Interesting. For some reason, I thought that was the one.
No, this one's all about that cash.
So I'll also admit that I don't have a very strong memory of this episode. Like, I definitely have seen it, but, like, I don't, like, the season specifically, or really the last few seasons, seems like every episode is an episode that I've seen countless times through reruns. But for whatever reason, this one does not have a strong, like, foothold in my memory from me seeing it many times.
Well, if only there was some podcast you could do to dive deeper into it so you can understand it and remember it forever.
I guess we should talk about it then, yeah. This one has the chalkboard gag, which is I will not demand what I'm worth, which is actually a reference to the Simpsons voice actors at the time, that at this time they essentially demanded to be paid more for their talents with the success of the show.
I feel like Friends had something to do with that too a little bit, because didn't the Friends cast hold out back in the late 90s for more money and then they got it?
Wasn't that in the early 2000s? Like, this was 98, so Friends would have only been on for like 4 or 5 seasons at this point. I thought that they didn't do their holdout until they got closer to like season 7 or 8.
Well, you're the maestro of the Friends trivia, so I guess I should leave that up to you and just go with what you say.
But this could have inspired the Friends cast, or maybe
So you're saying
versa.
The Simpsons did it?
I'm going to say the Simpsons did it, though honestly, I'm going to say that the Simpsons arguably were not the first people to hold out for more money. But maybe, who knows? Maybe they started a trend.
It's on to the future.
We also get a couch gag on this episode where the Simpsons come running into their living room wearing towels, but there's already 3 men in towels, and they're like adding water to the coals, of which essentially turn their living room into a sauna. But it's kind of funny because the Simpsons come in and then they have like an awkward moment where they kind of stare at each other, and the Simpsons are the ones that like walk away from the situation even though it's their living room.
How dare they?
We open up with this episode. It's a holiday episode, Rich. I didn't remember that either, but this is actually the New Year's Eve celebration. We made a reference to this, I think like a year or two ago when we did a New Year's announcement for our show. But they have the ball essentially get stuck on the way down as they're doing like the 10, 9, 8. And then as it gets stuck, Wiggum actually shoots the ball down.
8.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I like Wiggum's line in here, though. We've never lost a year before, and I'll be damned if we're going to lose one on my shift.
Bang, bang, bang! They mentioned on the commentary track, which for this episode featured Matt Groening, George Meyer, Mike Scully, Ian Maxtone Graham, Matt Selman, and Sweatin' Scott, so a full house. But they actually talked about from like an animation and direction standpoint, this was actually a pretty difficult sequence to shoot because of the constant going back and forth from the crowd reactions and then like the angle at which we were watching the ball drop.
Huh. I can see where that would be difficult. It's, again, just one of those things you don't really think about until someone talks about it.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Right in front of your face.
The entire town, it would seem, is celebrating the new year, except for one family, the Flanders family, where we actually cut to the Flanders home and see that Ned is busy getting the earliest start possible on his taxes. He wants to have them ready by New Year's, to the point that he even starts rushing as the countdown jumps in.
Daddy, what do taxes pay for?
Oh, why, everything. Policemen, trees, sunshine, and let's not forget those folks who just don't feel like working. God bless them. That is a really good line.
And then I love when they're working on taxes the next morning at the table at like 7:45 in the morning. He throws mints into the envelope.
Oh, yeah, it's like a goodwill gesture.
But like they do the bit with Maude where it's like, it's almost 8:15. Oh, the post office is opening. You better hurry up. He has to be like the first person to drop it off when the post office opens.
8 a.m. on the 1st of January. As soon as they open. Which, to be fair, I mean, Springfield is a very responsible town. So obviously all of the residents are going to be making a similar, dash to the mailbox to file their taxes on the 1st, right?
Well, Ned does see Dr. Hibbett up at the post office and getting your taxes out of the way?
No, just making out death certificates for holiday-related fatalities.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god, holiday-related activity or fatalities. That's so good. Yeah, obviously Ned is the...
I just picture...
What's that?
From what you said, I'm just picturing like on Mortal Kombat instead of fatality, activity.
I'm just seeing a fatality where like Scorpion pulls up a desk and files taxes until Raiden like dies of boredom.
Yeah, the worst
holiday related.
Boredom.
Yeah, so, of course, no. Ned Flanders is the only person that's actually filing his taxes early. Everybody else waits to the deadline, and we cut to April 15th, where, like, everybody in Springfield is pushing and shoving inside the post office. I actually love Wiggum's line. He's like, the harder you shove, the faster this'll go.
Then Skinner, trying to be a little punk here, sees Mrs. Krabappel in line, and he walks up to her to try to get her spot in line with her. Oh, Edna, you're certainly looking lovely tonight. Is that a new green sweater?
Until you're willing to file jointly. Back of the line, Seymour. And we also have Frink in the house.
Oh, no, I felt that. You don't carry the one, you foolish person. Now you incur the penalties, compound interest, and the wrath, and the trudgeons. Ahoy!
So, actually, Professor Frink is riding on Lenny's back, and just...
Well, Lenny's riding on his back.
Yeah, that's what I meant, yeah. Excuse me. And through the feel of the pen on his back, he can see that Lenny has forgotten to carry the one. We also have Kent Brockman in the house. He's doing a report about tax day and how it's literally the 11th hour, 10 p.m. Tardy taxpayers are scrambling to mail their returns by midnight. Sir, why did you wait until the last minute to pay your taxes?
Taxes? Isn't this the line from Metallica?
And that's when we actually cut back to the Simpsons home. I said everybody in town other than the Flanders were at the post office. Well, it turns out the Simpsons were also not there. Homer's even commenting, "Would you look at those morons? I paid my taxes over a year ago."
Dad, you have to pay your taxes every year.
Homer goes into panic mode, of course, because after all, it is the 11th hour of 10 p.m. Marge, how many kids do we have? Oh, no time to count. I'll just estimate. 9.
Homer, you know we don't have...
Shut up! I don't have time to hear this if it's not illegal. Okay, I need some deductions. Business gifts. Homer, he grabs the painting from above the couch, and we actually learned that was a gift that Marge painted for him.
Here you go, keep using nuclear power.
Homer, I painted that for you.
Okay, Marge, if anyone asks, you require 24-hour nursing care, Lisa's a clergyman, Maggie's 7 people, and Bart was wounded in Vietnam.
Cool. The commentary track wanted to make it explicitly clear that they didn't really think it was cool to be wounded in Vietnam.
Fair enough. I don't know.
I just thought it was funny. They're just like, yeah, we didn't mean that to sound like it was like cool that you got injured. Like, so Homer dives into the car. He actually he wads up his tax return envelope, wrapping it with tape into a ball, and he jumps in the car and screeches away. And he literally makes a buzzer beater type of shot to get it as it kind of rolls into the mailbox as he shoots it from a distance.
Well, also, Marjorie hangs that picture on the wall, and she's very sad. You really had a lot of talent, kid. It's a very somber moment.
She realizes she gave up so many dreams.
Yeah. Well, we know she's a good artist. I mean, we've had a whole episode about it way, way back when.
True. She usually does more portraits, though, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, celebrating getting his taxes in on time, where better to go for Homer than Moe's?
Oh, right. So, Lenny, let's say you put a thorn out of the Pope's butt, and he grants you one wish. What'll it be?
Only one, huh? Well, I've always wondered what it'd be like to wear something that's been ironed.
That'd be sweet. What about you, Mo?
Gee, I was gonna say a night with Joey Heatherton, but an ironed shirt. Damn, that's tempting.
Who's Joey Heatherton?
So they even commented on the commentary that Joey Heatherton is more than likely a lost reference. So I just left it at that because he absolutely is. I have no idea who Joey Heatherton is.
Is it a he or a she? I just have so many questions.
Yeah, I guess it would also imply that it's a she, based on our previous knowledge of Moe's sexuality.
I mean, that's neither confirmed nor denied 100%. I just don't know. I wanted them to tell us about it, but okay. Well, what about you, Homer?
Oh, no, I've done this. Davini Johanna, a.k.a. Joey Heatherton, was born on September 14th, 1944, and is an American actress, dancer, and singer who is a sex symbol of the 1960s and 70s. Yeah, so hot chick from the 60s and 70s.
All right, there you go.
Cool.
The more you know.
Do.
So what's Homer want to do with his one wish? We're not going to find out.
I was going to say, I think this is the point where we actually see the IRS burst in saying, Homer Simpson, United States government. And they actually drag him into the streets.
Help! Somebody help!
So how you, Bon? One wish. He just completely ignores it.
Yep.
You know Homer's in trouble when he ends up in the same room as Lucius Sweet, who is the manager for Dedrick Tatum, and then Gil, old Gil, if you will, and I think they said this is just his second appearance at this point.
I thought we've seen him a few times, but maybe...
I did too, but maybe...
We've been recording out of order, so that's our excuse for everything right now.
That's our excuse for it all.
It's all intertwined.
But it really is confusing, frankly. It's hard to keep up with sometimes when we get this out of order. It's better when we can stay on track, but hey, we've got some really cool guests on the horizon, and I'm glad we were able to accommodate the schedule for them.
How do you know that?
The future, man. I know it.
Oh,
I know the future because I watch The Simpsons.
There you go.
Yeah.
We've got future powers. Political powers.
So it turns out that Homer is in a lot of trouble because he has done an egregious miscarriagement of taxtitude.
Oh, this is bad. This is really bad. You work and you slave and you steal just enough for a sweet lick of that shiny brass ring. Don't I get a lick? Doesn't Gil get a lick?
We kind of see Gil ranting as Homer's called into the office. Mr. Simpson, this government computer can process over 9 tax returns per day. Did you really think you could fool it?
I think that is the rate at which that computer works still to this day.
Yeah, they have not, and actually over aging, it's probably closer to 7 or 8 now.
Yeah. I love that joke.
So instead of arresting him, they decide that they're going to
can't go to jail, man.
Yeah. They're going to put Homer to work for the FBI. They're going to actually have him wear a wire, but it's more of like a Walkman because it very clearly sticks out like a big bulge under his shirt.
Yeah, and they want him to rat out his friends. What kind of high-profile friends does he have that they need to?
He's going to get the barflies.
Yeah. From now on, you're gonna work for us.
Immediately, Homer asks his daughter if this shirt makes him look fat.
Well, when the agent asks him to work for him, Homer says, "Okay, but could you pay me under the table? I got a little tax problem."
Yeah. And that's when we actually cut back to Homer's at home, and he's wearing his wire, and he's concerned because he wants to know, does it make him look fat?
No, it makes you look like a tool of government oppression.
But not fat? Oh, good stuff, good stuff. So it does seem like Homer is actually going to try to bust his barfly friends, which I can't imagine collectively they even owe enough for this to be worthwhile.
Well, maybe just Moe, since he has his own business, but everyone else has an actual job, I would assume, where they probably get money and don't need money.
Yeah, I don't know. Homer comes in, though, and he's very clearly just, acting really weird.
Hey, so you're watching the ball game. Looks like a good one. Any of you involved in any illegal activity? Because I could sure go for some.
And they cut to the van. You can see the agent's oh, God.
How about you, Lenny? Testing, testing. Lenny?
Are you saying you want to commit a crime, Homer?
Maybe. But first I need to hear about some other crimes to get me fired up.
You mean the time you was running moonshine out of your basement?
Or that telemarketing scam you pulled?
No, more like the ones involving you. Or those.
You mean like that time? You mean like that time Barney beat up George Bush?
Barney? That was me! And I'll do it again.
Why stop there, Homer? My militia has a secret plan to beat up all sorts of government officials. That'll teach them to drag their feet on high-definition TV.
Ahead of its time, the show is. That's some unknown character named Charlie, but immediately he gets arrested for conspiracy.
I think we've seen him at the power plant a few times. But I have a note where it's they just gave you a random character so it wouldn't be upsetting if he got dragged out of there.
And everybody's clueless. Moe's even how'd they think of Charlie? Somebody must have ratted him out.
Oh, that's ridiculous, Moe. In transmission.
Oh.
I feel like they do such a good job of just using such few words to make scenes funnier than they need to be. That scene's already funny with Charlie getting dragged out, but there's something about just adding the in transmission part and when he's actually talking to Lenny going testing.
Yeah, the testing stuff's really good. Really, really fun. So the government officials are gonna have to get Homer to watch a video at a secret location. It's actually a photo booth, which I think is actually making a comeback now, but at weddings and shit. But they used to be really popular before digital cameras. They'd be in the mall, and you'd basically put a buck in, and you'd get a strip of photos. I don't know. They're a thing.
A buck.
We see that when they arrive, Milhouse is actually using the opportunity to take pictures of him flexing, but they shoo him away. And the government official is Mr. Simpson, please cover your ears while I say the secret access word. Cheese!
Good morning, Agent Johnson.
Oh, good stuff, good stuff. We watch a short film that explains how in 1945, Europe struggled to rebuild after the war, and President Truman authorized the one-time printing of $1 trillion bill to help Europe. The man set to deliver the bill was America's richest, therefore most trustworthy man, Mr. Burns. However, the $1 trillion bill was never delivered. Dun dun dun. This film will self-destruct if not properly stored.
We believe Mr. Burns still has the bill hidden somewhere in his house, but all we've ascertained from satellite photos is that it's not on the roof.
Oh, that's good. So we see the two leave, and as they do, Manjula and Apu, who are apparently on a date, go in and get their photos done, and immediately they say cheese.
Cheese. Good morning, Agent Johnson. And then it cuts away.
Yeah.
I like that Homer actually hesitates at first. He's like, but Mr. Burns gave me my job, and he's it overlooks all the stupid things I do.
Yeah, but he's so willing to protect his boss, but not his friends. He's immediately ready to sell out his barfly buddies. He's oh yeah, those bums.
He understands that rich men have rich allies.
That's fair. That's fair. So we actually cut to the Burns Manor where Smithers is presenting Mr. Burns with dinner, which Burns, as usual, is taking for granted, throwing insults at Smithers, and Smithers actually has to just leaves when Homer arrives at the door.
Go home to your apartment where you eat alone, or something along those lines.
Yeah, and then Homer walks in his place.
Now what? Smithers? You're not Smithers.
I'm Homer Simpson, your trusted employee.
Oh, an employee, eh? What a pleasant surprise. Click, 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 click. A pack of vicious dogs should be ripping you to pieces.
I don't know what to tell you.
Very well, come on in. Perhaps I have something I can scald you with.
So, inside, Homer's obviously still wearing the wire at this point. He's trying to catch Burns, essentially, in entrapment, or he's trying to entrap Burns to admit that he still has this $1 trillion bill as his goal.
And I like that.
Oh, go ahead.
I like that. Like, they walk into the kitchen, and Mr. Burns puts the pot of water on the stove and turns the stove on to heat it while they're talking.
Very old school, Burnsian.
Yep, but of course he doesn't wait long enough. So after like 20 seconds, he throws the water on Homer. Oh, still cold.
If only he had used a microwave.
With metal?
A thingy-mabopper? Plastic cup, maybe? I don't know. A mug? That would be better. A mug.
Let me get you a towel.
So Burns actually confuses Homer as he catches him red-handed searching around the mansion for the $1 trillion bill, and he calls him out for being a journalist for Collier's Magazine, which Collier's Magazine actually went out of print in 1956. It's another just great example. I love when they have so many great references for Burns. Though, actually, to be honest, 1956 actually seems almost too modern for Burns.
Yeah, maybe so. But it would have been with the time, because they just said in the 40s he had the $1 trillion bill. So
yeah, that's true.
They're trying to keep an intact timeline here,
and
I think.
Mo is referencing a heartthrob from the 60s.
There you go. Burns might even know that one.
Yeah, there you go. He was still double digits in age at that point.
Is this a star, Snoop?
Ooh,
let me give you a tour of the mansion.
I've lost... I don't know where we are in the script, sorry.
I'm making things up because it doesn't have all the lines between
Perfect, awesome.
I got us right here. Let me show you around. I hope you don't mind a little walking.
And that's when we see Homer actually grabs the suicide pill he has apparently kept on him to try to take the easy way out at this point.
Well, this is earlier in the episode when he met the FBI agent on the park bench. He goes, "Come on, we have to do a little walking." And Homer's like,
he's very opposed to having to move or exercise, of course.
And then when Burns first walked in on Homer, snooping around, Homer turns to the camera and opens up the suicide pill like he's about to take it until Burns says Collier's Magazine. So he already had the suicide pill out. And then here, when he's like, let's do some I hope you don't mind a little walking, Homer looks even more scared when he's about to swallow the suicide pill.
Burns convinces Homer to go on the tour instead, and he does so by showing him the $1 trillion bill. But it's not the real one, it's just a copy, as he keeps the real bill with him at all times, and he actually pulls it out of his breast pocket and shows it to Homer.
Wow, that must be worth a fortune.
Honestly, I feel like the stress of having a $1 trillion bill would be overwhelming.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like, I'm afraid of losing a 20, you know? Like, that'll ruin my day.
Mr. Burns also had the suit Charlie Chaplin was buried in. That doesn't make any sense.
But when he announces his $1 trillion bill, the agents actually burst in and announce, "Montgomery Burns, you're under arrest for grand larceny." Which
is correct. The best kind of correct to be.
Exactly. Go ahead.
That's when they start talking to Burns about all the stuff he's done, and then Mr. Burns himself starts talking about how the real thieves are the government. They make people like Homer there from Collier's Magazine pay income tax for worthless causes. And he yells back to Homer saying, don't let the government push him around. He has a voice. Collier's Magazine.
And he actually pulls the rug out from underneath the agents, causing him to trip and knocking him out. Take that, Uncle Sam.
He grabs Burns and he's going to make a run for it. And then the stupidest joke, but it's so darn funny, is when he runs back and goes, hee hee hee, and picks the hand up of one agent and puts on the other agent's butt.
And does like the little giggle.
Yeah.
You should have used glue.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a joke. They jump in one of Mr. Burns' like really classically old automobiles. It looks like the type of car that you would have to get out and crank periodically.
Let's hide at my place. I have beer.
But Burns has a better idea. There's only one man who can get them out of this. And we cut to Smithers, who's ironing his clothes and just singing to himself. Ding dong!
All right. Keep your top on.
So they explain to Smithers the situation, and apparently, obviously Smithers is going to jump on board with Mr. Burns.
Literally. And figuratively?
And now our government is hunting us down like a couple of common snow leopards.
It's an outrage, sir.
We see Chief Wiggum is doing his usual patrolling by taking a nap on the job, and that's when Agent Johnson cuts in on the speaker. This is Agent Johnson from the FBI. Be on the lookout for a 1936 Maroon Stoltz Bearcat. A 1936 Maroon... That whizzes by on the screen.
That really was more of a burgundy.
Yeah. It was dark.
Oh no, we're never going to make it. Let's just divide up the $1 trillion and go our separate ways.
So that's Homer referring to the bill itself, of course. That would be not really a good idea to tear this bill that, again, is just giving me anxiety thinking about losing it. Burns knows what really needs to be happening. They are going to have to get out of the country.
Let's blow this fascist popsicle stand, purchase a small island somewhere, and start our own country free from the relentless tyranny of Uncle Sam.
But I can't leave the country. What about my wife and kids?
They can be shipped.
That's probably expensive.
But Burns can afford it. Smithers knows.
Yeah, maybe he'll have change for that trillion bill. We see
the
FBI. The FBI is at the Simpsons home, and they're interviewing the kids, asking what they think Homer would do with the $1 trillion.
Ooh, and the kids are like super stoked that their dad has a $1 trillion bill. Bart's impressed.
Yeah, they're like really proud of their father, and that's an unimaginable amount of money. But Marge immediately is the fun police and is like, "That's going towards your college education."
Lisa, who needs college? Let's buy some dune buggies.
When you have $1 trillion, she's not wrong. I'm just saying, yes, that's very 8-year-old of her, but also yeah, that's buy dune buggies and fuck it money.
Well, the fun part is she completely goes against her moral code there because she's rich. So that's the funny part.
Yeah. Oh. We actually cut to a plane chase where it's Homer and Mr. Burns and Smithers are in a biplane being hunted down by an F-15 style jet.
After Homer tried to get some Buzz Cola with the $1 trillion bill, and it wouldn't go in the machine.
Yeah, it kept getting rejected. Oh my god, can you imagine if it didn't get rejected?
Burns goes, "There's soda on the plane!"
The plane. Attention fugitives, you are leaving U.S. jurisdiction. Turn back immediately or we will be unable to prosecute you.
We'd better do what he says.
But, of course, Burns has a better idea, and he actually flies over international waters, which, at first, the agents are a bit bummed out, but they realize, you know what, they'll be back. They'll miss American TV.
It was the thing back in those days.
And it wasn't like it is today, where you could just watch, get a VPN and watch American Netflix or whatever. That wasn't a thing.
Ooh, fancy.
They're flying over, the three people, the Burns, Homer, and Smithers pair are now flying over the random islands, pointing and saying, any of these islands would make a fine new country. And Homer's like, I call president.
Vice President.
Aww. I love that Mr. Burns just goes along with that.
That's what makes it so fun. You get to see a little bit more jovial or fun side of Burns in this episode, I guess I should say. There's a big one, and it has freedom written all over it.
Sir, that's Cuba?
Cuba, eh? Take her down, Smithers.
You're flying the plane, sir.
Excellent.
So they end up, we see that they've landed, and Burns is apologizing.
The plane is wrecked.
Yeah, it's like gone.
Sorry about the landing, boys. This fog is so thick I can't even see my own cataracts. And there's no fog at all.
So Homer calls Marge and Burns as Smithers. Homer calls Marge as Burns, Smithers, and Homer.
No, that's just a weird.
That's just a weird typo.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to process, like, what does that mean?
Why would he pretend to be Burns and Smithers to Marge?
Yeah.
No. I think Burns and Smithers are talking to some of the populace while Homer's on the phone with Marge.
There we go. Boom.
So you say Batista's gone. Did you know that?
I had no idea.
In that case, just take us to whoever's in charge. I had no idea.
Well, again, it's funny that Homer never has any idea about, like, global politics, but he always is very, very in tune with, like, local elections. That always cracks me up.
Well, he responds so quickly that it's like he knew who Batista was, but he's also just kind of playing along, so I'm not sure.
Uh-huh.
It's local politics.
It's smiling and nodding.
He knows. Mm-hmm.
We actually see, though, that Fidel Castro and his comrades are, comrades, our nation is completely bankrupt. We have no choice but to abandon communism.
Oh.
I know, but we all knew from day one this mumbo-jumbo wouldn't fly. I'll call Washington and tell them they won.
But, Presidente, America tried to kill you.
They're not so bad. They even named a street after me in San Francisco. It's full of what?
Sir, Presidente, a man who claims to have $1 trillion bill is here to see you.
And we actually see Mr. Burns walk in with Homer and Smithers in tow.
Oh, so the island's not for sale, eh? Well, will you at least permit us to live in your socialist paradise?
You talking about Cuba?
All we ask is preferential treatment because of my fabulous wealth.
May I see?
He's holding the $1 trillion bill up at this point. Oh, see with your eyes, not with your hands.
Please, we are all amigos here.
Mr. Burns, I think we can trust the president of Cuba.
Homer, like, whispers in his ear. And they actually hands it over to Castro, and we kind of pause there for a second, and Burns is, like, give it back.
Give what back?
Go! And then we immediately cut to seeing the three men on a, like, castaway-style raft, just without the volleyball. They're in very bad condition as they're just kind of floating out to sea.
It's hard to believe there's a place worse than America, but we found it.
Yes, I too feel renewed appreciation for the good old US of A. Oppression and harassment are a small price to pay to live in the land of the free.
Sir, aren't you facing some serious jail time?
Well, if it's a crime to love one's country, then I'm guilty, and if it's a crime to steal $1 trillion from our government and hand it over to a communist Cuba, then I'm guilty of that too. And if it's a crime to bribe a jury, and so help me, I'll soon be guilty of that.
God bless America.
And that brings us to the end of The Trouble with Trillions. Richie, was there anything else that you or this book of yours, or that book of yours, wanted to talk about on today's show?
Yeah, I feel like we're going to have a little difference of opinion on this one, but I honestly wasn't really looking forward to reviewing this one before I watched it because I'd never really remember liking this one that much. But when I watched it and I was taking notes, I was like, man, this is actually a pretty darn funny episode, and I very, very much enjoyed it. There's a lot of really good gags in this one. I do want to say, wouldn't Homer be facing jail time too because he literally helped Burns escape from 2 FBI agents?
As would Smithers. I think they'd both be accomplices at the very least.
Well, I don't even know if they knew about Smithers, but yeah, Burns can pay for Smithers. He will. But Homer, I should feel, is in like a whole lot of trouble on this one because he also has tax fraud going on. It's the whole reason he was helping him. And if he didn't help him with Burns, they could still indict him for that, I would believe.
You know what I think would have actually been kind of interesting? Like, I understand it could, I guess, taken away some of the weight of this, but, like, I almost feel like they would have left, like, a mystery shot at the end where it cuts back to the fake, and it just shows it sitting at the Burns mansion, and it almost makes you wonder, like, is it which one, like, it, almost Inception style. Like, you don't really know which one was which anymore.
Ooh.
And then plus, that'd be fun, because you'd have people debating it endlessly forever.
Well, instead, you have Burns funding communism, which is funny.
which was a day away from ending. Like, they were about to pull the plug. But yeah, so I have a couple things from the commentary that I thought were kind of interesting. One of them is the original pitch for this idea was vastly different than the episode we actually got, because the original pitch on this episode was that Homer was going to find out that he had Native American blood, and he was going to try to exploit that fact to avoid paying taxes.
Okay.
So that kind of morphed and got combined with some things and just got twisted around, and they decided to go with the communism aspect of it instead and make it a lot more funny. And I think that also tied in better with Mr. Burns. Some of that's speculation on my part, but I would imagine tying in Burns, like an ignorant Burns to communist Cuba, leads for a lot more fun in the tail end, the third act of this adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the only other thing is there's a really funny just mistake they make. For one, they comment about how while Homer's filing his taxes early on in the episode, he's looking at his watch a couple times to, like, you know, because he's panic mode about the time or whatever. And Homer almost never wears a watch. Like, that doesn't happen very often. So much to the point that, like, they only have a watch in the shots when they need him to have a watch. There's several shots in that same sequence and scene there that Homer is seen without the watch on, but then when he's in close-ups or has to look at it, it's suddenly on his wrist.
Huh. Interesting. I didn't even catch that, but yeah, he must have a flesh-colored watch band.
I think it was white in this one, but yeah, definitely not usually there. But hey, in a couple weeks they have a window that suddenly appears for a joke, so it's fine. Totally fine. You mentioned that you weren't looking forward to this one and ended up enjoying it. I had a weird experience with this one just because I truly did expect it to be a completely different episode. Like, I have fond memories of the episode where Burns essentially pays Homer to keep doing increasingly stupid dares, and I think they end up in, like, a panda cage at the end. It's been a while since I've seen that one, but, like, I'm looking forward to reviewing that one, and I thought that was what this episode was for some reason. I just got it mixed up in my mind. Long story short, I did enjoy this episode, but I definitely didn't like it as much as I have been the episodes that we've been reviewing more recently. Like, I feel like this one has, like, a weird, like, it's almost like a side story, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but, like, the fact that Homer's so heavily involved, but it still kind of feels like just, like, a random adventure that almost just doesn't fit in Springfield. It literally doesn't, because it's in Cuba.
Well, that's interesting, and I feel like that's going to start happening more and more as we continue on this journey, because we're about to be on season 10, so the memory and recurrent watching of each episode is going to be like, there's going to be less and less viewings of each episode the further we get at this point.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's definitely the case for me, but still looking forward to reviewing what we have to come. So, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's review of The Trouble with Trillions. Thanks to all the people that support us on Patreon. That really helps out so much. Keep doing all of the other great things like sharing and telling your friends about the podcast and tuning in each week. And make sure you follow the WizKid at @thewiz_kid23.
And that's the only thing you need to follow out of all 3 things we make you follow. Oh, wait, I guess you should go ahead and follow Miles too. That would be nice. He's at Mr. Most Days Off. And if you absolutely have to, make sure you follow our show at Best Darn Diddly. That's DIDDLY.
And of course, make sure you come back again next week when we are going to be reviewing the episode Girly Edition.
What's that, Miles? You want to know what that podcast will be good for and what kind of people can listen to that podcast? Oh, well, everybody can. Policemen, trees, sunshine, and let's not forget the folks who just don't feel like working. God bless them.
That's very relevant right now, but maybe it won't be in a month when this is all hopefully over, but we'll see. Maybe not. We'll tune in. But thank you so much, and until next time, be cromulent to each other.